Welcome back to my channel. As you can see, if you've been here for a while, we have a change of scenery, and that is because I am actually in my homeschool room. I am doing some fall deep cleaning in my room, and so it's in shambles, and we have a new location. But if you're new here, welcome for the very first time. I'm Adriana, and I have 6 kids, and somehow I have the ability to read endlessly. I don't know sometimes how I do it. When you guys ask me, honestly, some days I do know, and most of days it's just by the grace of God. And I continue to do my best to fulfill my needs, and some days it works, some days it doesn't. But I thought that in honor of the end of summer and the first day of fall was the other day, I would actually bring to you guys my favorite reads of the summer. Now, some of these you guys have seen before in my 2025 best book so far video, and I'm gonna still talk about those, just not so in depth. Wow, I had a really great summer of reading this year. I just felt like I had honed in on my likes, my dislikes, my favorite authors. I did branch out and read some new authors, and they were some hits as well, and they have become some of my absolute favorite books, period. And I'm just a summer girly through and through, and I may not read as much, but I definitely pick up your quintessential beach reads. I'm actually going to start this list for you guys from the top. So when I first picked up my first summer read, which did start like right before summer started, toward the end of May, and then work my way all the way until I picked up my very first fall read. So I'll stop at the books that ended right before then. I'll give you my ratings and everything, so let's jump into it. First book that was one of my favorite summer reads was One Golden Summer. I loved this. I loved this more than its predecessor, 100,000%. I felt like we got such a better view of who Charlie Florrick was, and Alice was the perfect FMC for him. They were polar opposites, yet internally the same, and I felt like they were able to give each other what the other person needed to just be a full rounded version of themselves. And I loved the transformation of Alice. It was just so beautiful to see her just come out of herself and just enjoy everything, and how she integrated perfectly into their family. And I know the trope in book 1 is very difficult for a lot of people to like, but the entire story as a whole I just felt was so beautiful. Like I said, I talked about it a lot already in the previous, so I won't go too much into it, but this was definitely a 5-star read for me. Next was probably one of my top 3 reads of the year. That would be Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. Oh my gosh. This is book 3 of the Skyland series, and it features the friend out of the friend group, Hendrix. And you know, what I thought we were gonna get from this book compared to what we got was completely different, but absolutely necessary. And I know I saw a lot of complaints online saying that Hendrix seemed so much more independent and sure of herself and all of these different things, and that she was different in her book. Wow, we needed her to be. Hendrix is taking care of her ill mother who is suffering from dementia, and she is going through the motions of experiencing that. This is something that's incurable. There's no happy ending to that. And Kennedy Ryan put in the very beginning that her own family went through the same things that Hendrix is going through. The fact that she has multiple times taken pieces of her own life and been vulnerable with us and shared that with us, I think is so beautiful, and it brings so much more truth and depth to the story. I ate it up. I also ate up Maverick, the Black Surfer. If you don't know me in person, if you have not been following me for a while, I am a beach summer girl, and everything about Black Surfer for me was like, I ate it up. I loved Maverick. Maverick was my favorite man. I just felt like his ability to take a independent woman and bring softness to her was so beautiful. And maybe that speaks to my own character as like the oldest sister and always being independent and being hard and different things, that the man bringing softness and making you feel safe and secure is special. It did something for me. 5 out of 5 stars, honestly, infinity stars. I loved this book and I wish I could read it again for the first time. Next, I have Audrey and Bash Are Just Friends. And I don't think I've talked about this one that much, but I ate this one up. This also features our Black surfer, and I love that. I was like, 2025 is the year of the Black surfers, and I'm so happy that we got that. We needed that. That is a totally different representation than I feel like we've gotten in like such a long time. Like, I've never read a book featuring that type of character, and I just loved that we got to be a part of the Mercy family again and like see how things had changed, because everything seemed so great, and for Audrey, things just don't feel great. Eva and Shane have had a baby. It has turned Audrey's life upside down. She is now feeling pushed out of her family, and Shane doesn't really know how to do with that, and Eva's struggling to balance that. And we watch Audrey just come into her own and meet somebody who a lot of people thought all these negative things about, and she really takes the time to get to know him, and I just absolutely adore this. This is also YA. When I did my reading vlog, my first California reading vlog, I did talk about the fact that even though it's YA, it has a lot of things to me that like I just wouldn't let my daughter read this yet. She's 15 and a half, maybe like 17 I would let her read it, but I still absolutely loved it. It's to your discretion as the parent though. Before I forget, I also gave this one, I think, 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, Beach Read by Emily Henry. I am so mad at how long it took me to read this book. This book has to be top 3 Emily Henry books for me easily, maybe even top 2. Now, at the time, I did give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, and that is because I did start reading this book when my mother-in-law passed away and we went to the funeral. I also read this when I was in started it in California, and it took me a long time, like reading slump time, to read it. And so the beginning of the story is a little bit of a blur to me. But I feel like if I read it again or do it on audiobook sometime in the future, that I probably will end up giving this a 5 out of 5 stars. This does feature our characters Augustus, Gus, and January. And they're actually kind of going through the same thing. January's family is reeling from a realization that maybe her father wasn't who she thought he was due to some secrets that she did not know. And she has to go to the little beach town, is it lake house or beach town? I can't remember. I read so many beachy books, and kind of go through all of that and uncover what it is that he was doing and who he was and his other life. And Gus is like, it's her rival, which I did realize that I enjoyed rivals to lovers when I read this. He's her rival. He's a literary writer. She's a romance writer. And they both bump heads like since college. But they start to discover that they have a lot more in common than they thought, and they begin to click and work through those things together. I loved it. I loved it, and I definitely need to do a reread of this one. Now, y'all put me on Curvy Girl Summer, and I wish I would have read it last year, but then listen, everything happens for a reason. The good thing about it was that book 2 came out right when I finished it, so I was up to date with what was going on. I loved Danielle Allen's writing. I felt like I was pulled in immediately into the story. It wasn't too spicy. Like, I thought that it was going to be spicy based on the very first scene that happened in the book, and it was not spicy. I mean, it had a few little scenes in it, but nothing that was unnecessary. It only happened to move the story, and I thought that that was great. As a person who's kind of moved out of overly spicy books, not saying that I'll never read like a smut cover to cover book ever again. It's just that, like, during this time period in my life, I'm in it for the plot, and like, what does that scene bring to their story? Like, how does it move them forward? And I just felt like it was absolutely perfect. Aaliyah is a very sweet FMC. Like, she's that friend in the group who's like, no, girl, don't say that. Like, she's very, very sweet. And I loved that about her, because once Ahmad's feelings came forward for her and the scene did hit, it was just so good. And honestly, like, I would reread this story again. Absolutely, 1000%. If you have not read this yet, save this for your summer next year, because book 3 comes out. And also, like, a great comparison to me with the whole friend group is that if you like the Skyland series, you will enjoy this series, period. Whoa. We all know how I feel about All the Sinners Bleed. I will find any excuse to recommend it. S.A. Cosby has a fan for the rest of my life and the next, okay? I loved everything about this, and this features our MMC Titus. He is the first Black sheriff in Sharon County, and I thought Sharon County was real. The way that he was describing everything in the Hampton Roads area, that's where I currently live. My husband is stationed here. I was like, yo, when and where did this happen? Like, I need to ask some of the locals that I know, when did this happen? But it wasn't real. And he is on the hunt for a serial killer that was a part of a group of 3, the last living serial killer. And I can't really say too much, but there are racial tensions. You have a lot of I just can't even racial tensions, okay? Racial tensions, serial killers, Black sheriff. Oh, 5 out of 5 stars, period. Then we had Brooklyn by Tracy Brown. If you guys go back into some videos, you will see my reaction. Wow. I absolutely loved this story. If you, gosh, what did I compare it to? It's just, imagine someone who starts off just your everyday person and works their way up into the kingpins and different things like this, and they're shysty, and then all of a sudden, you know, you watch the rise and fall of this character, you watch their decision making, you watch how people treated her, but then the decisions that she continued to make were hers, and how that, I can't give it away though. I mean, this was so good. And honestly, I started it out on paperback. I'm going back to see what I rated it here on Goodreads, but I started it out on paperback, and then I needed to finish it, and I switched to audiobook. My husband listened to it too. I give this 4.5 out of 5 stars. The accents, the New York accents made this book, and I don't see a lot of people talking about this. So if you can, promote this book. And also, rest in peace to Tracy Brown. I'm so sad that we have lost you in this community, in this world. You were, oh my gosh, sublimely gifted, because I just could not stop. Then I read It's a Love Story by Annabelle Monaghan, and I loved this. This was the perfect cutesy fluffy read that I needed after doing, what was it, Brooklyn and All the Sinners Bleed and whatever else I read in between. This was perfect for just that regular short summer romance. It just felt very beachy, very poolside. And we have Jane Jackson, and what is the guy's name again? There's 2 guys, that's why I can't remember. Dan and Jack. So Jane used to be a child star, and she's embarrassed of that past because she's got like the funny song and all those things, and she was just a child star, and now she's still working in the industry, but she's having a hard time getting a script to get picked up. And so she tells them that she can get her ex-colleague, who is now blown up and famous, Jack, to write a song for the soundtrack. In comes her rival, Dan, who has in the past caused her to not get her scripts picked up. So she does not like him at all. But they kind of work together to try and find Jack and try and get that song. And as that happens, Jane goes through sort of this transformation of coming out of her shell, loosening up. Just, I kind of love that, kind of like One Golden Summer with Alice. And you watch that happen with Dan and his family, and I just love it. Also, Dan's family is a large family. He's one of 5 kids. I have 6 kids. So I really enjoyed that representation in a positive light, because lately I just have seen a lot of negativity surrounding things like that, and I thought that that was really, really nice. I also compared this to, like, I love How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. So I compare it to when Kate Hudson goes and visits Matthew McConaughey's family, how she goes, and then when she leaves, like, her hair is all curly, she's like blowing in the wind, she's loose, she's happy. That's what happens to Jane in this book. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Plus Size Player, obviously, because it came out, right? Hello, I loved this. This was the complete opposite personality that we got from Aaliyah. Nina is like, I'm gonna date who I wanna date. I am who I am. I'm an influencer. I am who I am. I don't need anybody to tell me what to do, to lock me down. And she meets Russ. I'm a big dog. Russ is who she has labeled the fun one out of her roster, and you know, they really start to like each other. She starts to kind of put him over all of the other men on her roster. And there's something that happens that turns this into a forbidden romance. I really can't say, or will ruin it, but let me tell you, Russ was about his girl. He did not care. He was about his girl. Period. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. Then, because of my reading slump, I read The Perfect Son, and Frida did an amazing job on this book here. I don't remember the names of any characters. I don't remember the names of any characters in any Frida McFadden books. If you do, wow. Wow. I don't, but I remember that I liked it. I remember that I read it in 2 days and that it got me out of the reading slump that I was in. This book was good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and the premise of the book, I'm remembering because I really did enjoy it, is a girl goes missing and a mom is concerned that her son had something to do with it because he has tendencies. Now, you may in this one figure out who the person is that has committed the crime, but I don't feel like it ruins the story. I felt like this was the first time that I kind of figured it out, and it didn't ruin the story for me. It actually amplified the story for me, and it made me go back and think about like all the things that had happened prior and what that person was doing and how they were behaving. So yes, love this book. It was perfect for summer. Honestly, it's perfect for fall as well, but one of my favorites. Next was Honey and Spice. Oh my gosh, I really enjoyed this one. And honestly, the first time I tried to read it, I did not think I was gonna enjoy it. And in the very beginning, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna enjoy this as much as other people may have enjoyed it. But wow, it definitely surprised me. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. This features Kiki and Malachi, and they're kind of rivals. Kiki is your talk show radio host who is giving advice about men and being like, don't mess with him, he's a dog. And Malachi is that dog, but they kind of get wrapped up into fake dating based on what people have seen at a party, and it takes off from there. The way the relationship grows, the way that Malachi opens up to her, I think is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm so mad that you made me believe they were gonna stay together and they didn't, but that's okay because I have Sweet Heat sitting right over there, okay? Sweet Heat is getting picked up here soon because I wanna jump back into this and I wanna understand what went wrong, what happened, what changed? And I felt like, even though I never went to college, I felt like I got the full college experience by reading this book, period. Next is a book that was supposed to be a 5-star read for me. What does my husband want, y'all? This has nothing to do with books, but he was just telling me that he had to go somewhere else to go get my ghost. But anyways, this was supposed to be a 5-star read for me. It's still an amazing book, and that is Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Bastone. Wow. I don't know if I still have the clips, but if I do, they'll be right over here over me talking right now because this book tore me up. I cannot believe how much I was crying. I think the last time that I cried that hard was when I was reading Can't Get Enough. Wow. So we have a book featuring our FMC Lenny, and she has lost her best friend. This has caused her to spiral into a deep depression. She is not handling grief. She is not able to even go back into their apartment. And I don't want to tell you what she's doing, but when you read it, you will see how she's avoiding grief like the plague. And I felt every ounce of that. And we meet Miles, our MMC, who is also suffering from grief. The difference between them is they're at two different points of the grief. And so he is able to kind of go down in the depths with her. And in fact, there's a quote in the book, and I'm not going to be able to quote it word for word, but it's along the lines of, "Mom, he went down in hell and pulled me out." And the scenes of the friend and when she was going through what she was going and how she lost her friend and every little ounce of that, I mean, I felt it here. As someone who has had family members who have suffered from the exact same thing that her friend was suffering from, I couldn't hold it in. I just couldn't. And I did give this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. And if you've been following me, you will know the reason is because of the spice scene and the spice scene alone. The spice scene to me didn't make sense. Once we got there, I did not expect for it to happen because I cannot remember what page it was that it happened, but let me tell you, we were almost done with the book and it happened, and it was written kind of mechanically. Like, it just didn't feel natural, and it felt like, honestly, she wasn't ready for that. Like, me looking at her as a character, I did not feel like Lenny was ready for it, and they could have literally went the whole book without it. Now, if it would have been done and set up a little bit better, I do think that talking about bringing intimacy back into relationships after grief, like I said, my husband lost his mother this year, and last summer we lost my last 2 living grandparents. Talking about that is important, but it just should have been a little bit more careful. And then after that scene, the rest of the book kind of lost its strength for me, and it would have been a solid 5 stars easily. But that does not mean you shouldn't read it, and maybe you will feel differently about it. But yeah, I still absolutely love this book, and I definitely hold it near and dear to my heart. Oh, one more thing about that book that I want to say is Cara Bastone's ability to write characters who are just like your everyday person, who are quirky and goofy, I love, because I'm a goofy girl, and I love to see that in a story. Okay, you guys, the husband came through with the grape ghost. Somebody message Ghost and tell them to put me on their PR list because I love them. Oh, it's warm. It's like a warm grape soda. My grandma would be like, no, absolutely not. Put it in the freezer, get some ice, put that thing in there. Next, we're moving on to an audiobook, and that is Razor Blade Tears. Now, I read this, I started it in a summer diary, and I think I finished it in my summer reading vlog. Wow. Wow. That book is 5 out of 5 stars. Oh my gosh, I don't know which one I like better. I don't know if I like Razor Blade Tears or All the Sinners Bleed better, but S.A. Cosby knows what to do when he gets that pen and he gets that paper, or he starts typing, whatever your writing process is. Let me tell you, absolutely phenomenal. This story is featuring 2 fathers who did not treat their sons right. Because their sons were gay, and they decided that they were going to be verbally abusive. I think there are parts of physical abuse, I'm not quite sure, and their sons are dead. This is the very start of the story. Their sons are murdered. They were married, and the dads go on a little vigilante spree to find the killers. And when I tell you, I felt like I was in a movie, scene after scene after scene was hidden like crazy. There are so many twists and turns, and who the bad person is, it just really hits home. And I can see this being a real life story. Once again, it does take place in Hampton Roads, which is a little bit weird, but I ate it up. will tell you this was the first time I read a thriller and I cried. I couldn't believe it when I felt the tears coming on. I was screaming no. I had my husband listen to it, and wow, we both gave it 5 stars. And if you have not read that yet, you need to read it ASAP. My next favorite book from the summer was another audiobook, and that was Capone Book 1. What? I felt as though I was in an episode of Power. Like, to be honest, like I felt like I was in Power, and it was crazy the way that it starts off. I don't really want to give anything away, but this is a family saga. I believe there are 9 books. If I'm wrong, please correct me down in the comments below. But each sibling has their own set of books, and wow, wow, wow. Also, it did not have as much spice as I thought it would for an urban romance. It does not happen till almost the end of the book. But let me tell you, my boy Capone was in it. So, yeah, I was just not expecting it to happen by that point. And then this book does leave you on a cliffhanger. Like, I really can't describe the book. He is a kingpin, he's a twin. And that's basically all that I can give you because I don't want to spoil anything from the book. But I did give Capone 4. Why am I looking at a couch? I was not looking at a couch, y'all, I promise. I need to be looking at a couch. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was really, really good. Loved it. Amazing story. After that, I wanted to finish the last book that I had not read by Annabelle Monaghan. If you cannot tell, if you have not watched my videos, I am an absolute fan of hers. Her books give that early 2000s rom-com vibe that we all know and love. And this one actually had dual POV for most of the story. So this features Sam, and she has the quintessential perfect fiance. And they're going back to her hometown that she has not really gone back to see if she wants to have her wedding there. Now, she hasn't gone back home due to her childhood sweetheart heartbreak, Wyatt. And why her heart was broken, they really don't know. I mean, like, you don't know until you are getting further and further into the story. And Wyatt, he's acting like absolutely nothing's the problem. He's been hanging out with her little sister. There's like, the family still loves him, and she's like, I need to get out of here. Like, the whole book. I love that. There's also some trauma and things that happen between the two families that caused Wyatt to become distant. These are things that you'll learn as to why he became the way that he became and what kind of separated them as a couple. And then Jack, is his name Jack? His name is Jack. Annabelle, hold on a minute. You love that name. Wasn't that his name in the other one? I just clocked that. Like, that was his name in the other one. Anyways, Jack. I could not stand him. I already knew he was a problem from the very beginning, but you're just gonna have to read it yourself to understand. I definitely think this is one of the better ones. I think I could not tell if this one or Summer Romance was my favorite. And maybe I'm being biased because Summer Romance was my first book by her, and I'm trying to hold on to the fact of how much I loved that. But when I got the dual POV in this one, I loved it. And it was definitely needed to progress the story. She was really smart to do that. Sorry, I'm trying to see. I gave this one 4 stars. I gave Summer Romance 4 stars as well. So I don't know, definitely this one and Summer Romance are my 2 favorites out of all of her stories so far. Our last and not least book out of these that were my favorite this summer was Capone 2. Capone Book 2 was so good. Now, it is a little bit slower than Book 1 in my opinion. Like, actually, like, my husband didn't give it 4 stars. I gave it 4. He gave it 3 stars. So kind of gauge how you would feel about it on your own, because that was the first time that we actually like really disagreed on a book. But like I said, it's like Power. It's definitely like Power. One of the girls' names is Tasha. And you start to see the dynamics between all the characters and how they're interconnected from the past and the present, you start to see, kind of like in Brooklyn, there are some characters who will do anything that they think is best to further themselves, which actually brings negative outcomes. And it's very intense. I mean, I cannot wait to dive into book 3. Hopefully I will get into book 3 by the end of this month. But I thought it was phenomenal. Now, these books have a lot of cussing. They can have some graphic moments. There's some alopecia representation. There's just so many different aspects that bring something different to the table when it comes to this series that I'm really enjoying. And I think I spoke about this in another video. I believe that urban romance is like our answer to the dark romance genre, except it brings our culture into it. So it just feels more close to home than reading a regular dark romance. And I really enjoy that because I just feel like I've been around people like this. I'm sorry to tell you guys that, but I've been around people like this and I just actually enjoy it so much better. So yeah, so those are the 16 books that were my top books of the summer. I have 13 physical here. I have 3 that are on audiobook. And I just love summer books. I love the vibes that a lot of these stories just bring to you. And I'm really looking forward to diving into more fall reads, more fall romances. I feel like, let me know what your romance season is, because in the fall, I've always been more of like a mystery thriller girly, and I still am, but I really like to see kind of the softness that comes out of the fall romances. It's a little bit different because it's not like, I guess they're doing different things. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but it's a different vibe just altogether that comes out of them. They're more cozy. I was trying not to use that word, but they are a little bit more cozy for sure. I did already finish Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. Definitely a fall romance. It starts off at a Halloween party and I could feel the coziness between the characters and what they were doing, you know, and yeah, it just felt totally different. Not like go, like they're just out and about completing activities. Like in One Golden Summer, they're like on the boat, they're doing this, it's just go, parties, all the things. So I'm excited for that. Let me know your romance season. Like, what are your favorite romance books? Is it the spring books, the summer books, the fall books, or the winter books? The winter books are super cozy, like super duper cozy. I actually do really like those. I have read quite a few of those. I don't know why I skipped fall. I don't know why. But before we start yapping endlessly, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. If you have not subscribed yet, we are working our way to 2,000 subscribers and I just can't wait to get there. I'm so happy you guys are here. You guys are so amazing. You guys are always hyping me up. I love you guys so much. And before you leave, also don't forget that you can go over to Instagram, follow me over there. I do daily check-ins. I talk directly in my stories. I never, ever know what I'm gonna say or post or share pictures over there. I am just my normal self. That is always linked down below. And until I see you guys next time, happy reading.